Hello, this is Ken, and thank you for tuning in to the Model Building and Retirement channel. And as the title says, I'm going to show you how you can strip the paint right off your model car in 3 easy steps using an item commonly found in most garages, and that's brake fluid. Stick around right after the intro, and we'll get right into it. Sponsored by Model Makers Workshop. Need parts for your next model project? Model Makers Workshop has you covered with the best aftermarket accessories around. And by Gaahleri, your one-stop shopping for all your airbrush needs. Okay, I'm going to get right into it, folks. There's just 3 easy steps. So step 1 is to soak your painted model car in a vat of brake fluid. And you can use .3, .4, a combination of both. It doesn't matter. I had a couple of these in my garage that were worthless because after they've been sitting a while, they gain a little bit of moisture, and you would not want to introduce that into your brake system. But perfect for stripping the paint off your model car. There are other ways of doing this, but my choice is the brake fluid because it was free and available, and otherwise I would have just had to get rid of this. So that's step 1. Step 2 is about every 1.5 hours to 2 hours. Agitate the paint on your model kit by just using a stiff bristle brush or a toothbrush, an old toothbrush or whatnot, and just remove the heavier layers of paint as they're dissolving, and then let that brake fluid continue doing its job. Again, 5 to 6 hours total time will generally remove most paint jobs, probably no more than 8. Step 3, simple, just wash in warm, clean water. Dawn dish soap is highly recommended. It'll clean and dry the part, and you're ready to go. So let's roll the video and I'll show you exactly how I went about doing this. Okay, so first off, let's talk about what led to the need to strip the paint. This is MCW paint, primed first with Mr. Surfacer 1000, and I put 3 coats on there, but I noticed it was a little bit translucent, so about 3 days later I went to give it 3 more coats. But I didn't wait long enough between coats, and what happened is the paint began to craze in parts, and that is typical because the thinner is reactivating the lower layers, so that is the importance of a flash time. And I'll kind of show you some points here where you can see that a little bit right here in the trunk area and also on the roof. I tried to sand it away, but I could tell that that was going to still show up. Now, as far as the roof, I think I'm going to vinyl top that anyway, so that's not important. But right there on the top of the trunk, I was not happy with it. And I also have a little bit of crazing right on the side of the car here. So I decided the best way to go was just to strip this thing down and start all over. So what I'm using here is one of those little display cases that you get at like Hobby Lobby or whatnot, and just turn it upside down to make a little vat because it's pretty much just perfect for the body of a car. And I'm pouring the contents of my brake fluid, and in this case it's .4 brake fluid that I had in my garage. So I'm just going to fill that vat up enough to submerge the car. Okay, so I submerged the car, but I could tell it was not 100% submerged, so I went out searching in my garage and found another bottle of brake fluid. Okay, the only thing is what I found was a bottle of .3, and I had .4 in the vat already, but it's perfectly fine to mix .3 with .4. I wouldn't do it in the car or a motorcycle, but for the purpose of stripping a car, it does not matter. So I just topped off the rest of the vat with that. Okay, so once the model was fully submerged, I just let that sit for 2 hours. I just set the alarm on my phone to come back and check on it. And, you can come back at an hour and a half or so, but I chose to go 2 hours. Okay, so after the first 2 hours, first of all, I want to wear proper PPE. So I got some neoprene gloves on here and also wearing safety glasses just in case I splashed any of that up into my eyes. You don't want to do that. So I also have a vat of clean water, and I got a toothbrush and a stiff bristled brush. And those are going to be the tools I'm going to be working with here. And what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to pull the parts out of the wash vat and just start agitating with the toothbrush or the other bristle brush and see. but you'll find that the paint is just beginning to peel and break down. It's not 100% done, but what's important here is just to kind of remove the bulk of what's already dissolving and get it off the model so that the brake fluid can just be more efficiently attacking the underlying paint all the way down to the bare plastic. Okay, so you can see after this first 2 hours that the paint doesn't totally remove, but it is coming off. So I'm just going to go around the entire body and just work it out. I'll go to fast forward here and just show you that process. Okay, so once I got as much paint off there as I can, I'm just going to let that sit back in that vat for another 2 hours. And I'm just going to clean up a little bit in the water, clean off my gloves and my brushes and my tools here and just wipe everything dry. And we'll come back in 2 more hours. Okay, so after waiting another 2 hours, just looking into the vat, you can see a lot more has dissolved, and it takes absolutely nothing to start removing that paint at this point. It's really doing its job. Okay, so once again, I'm just going to continue brushing as much paint as I can. I'll go to fast forward here, but I'll leave all the footage there so you can just see how much is being removed at this stage. Coming off really, really, really easy at this point. Okay, so after all that, I see there's just a little bit of stubborn paint left on the model. So once again, I'm going to let that soak. And this time only for about 1 more hour. So I'm going to set my alarm on my phone for 1 hour. So that'll be a total of 5 hours soak time. Let's come back and see what happens after that extra hour. Okay, so 1 more hour later, and this is a total of 5. And the car's pretty darn clean right at this point. So once again, I'm just going to go ahead and agitate and brush any residual paints. And I even do the underbody. It's not real important to get all that off unless it's important to you. Okay, so once I'm satisfied with the paint removal, I will leave the model in the clear water now. And I'm going to move that over to a sink and use fresh, clean water and flush out the car and the tray real good with some Dawn dish soap. And then I'm going to blow dry and air dry the car completely. And then before I filter out and save my fluid, I'm going to clean up my paint stand. This has got quite a bit of buildup over the last, year's worth of painting. So I'm just going to soak that one. And it's the same exact process, except for, because it has so many layers of paint on it, I'm going to let that soak overnight. And just, tomorrow morning I'll agitate that a little bit and let it soak a little bit longer. Just keep agitating it. Probably not going to come up 100% clean. But, just wanted to point out to you, you can clean your tools that way too. Okay, so let's look at what it did. So this is the body after 5 hours. Every 2 hours I stopped and gave it some agitation with the brush and cleaned it up a bit. 5 hours total. Stripped it almost all the way down to bare plastic. I just have one little stubborn area right here on the fender apron, inner fender apron. which is not going to be important. It's that's going to prime and cover over just fine. But if needed be, you go another hour or two. 8 hours total probably would do the job perfectly. But this was 5 hour soak. Came out really good. So did the hood. And then as far as my paint tool goes, this was overnight. And so the next morning I got up here and I agitated that a little bit, soaked it for another 2 hours, agitated it some more, and it's dramatically cleaner. I'll have a picture above of what it looked like beforehand. It doesn't look like brand new, but it took a majority of that off. I would think probably another 24 hours in the vat would probably strip it all the way down to bare. Okay, so next I'm going to show how to save your fluid for next time. Okay, so next up we're at the sink here, and I'm going to filter this brake fluid and then pour it back into my bottle, and I'll mark that, of course. But I believe it could be used again probably a couple times. It may just be a little slower next time, but I'm going to just filter out any solids. So what I'm going to use is I have another container right here made of plastic, and I'm going to use just good old-fashioned automotive paint strainers, but you can use any kind of mesh screen or something to strain it with. So I'm just going to carefully pour that from the one container to the next. Okay, so you really don't see too much of the solids until the very end of the process here, because they all settled to the bottom. But you can see it does break down the brake fluid, because this little bit of paint solids that you see left behind certainly is not all the paint that was on the model. And you can see that the fluid's kind of turned like a dark gray. Okay, I'm going to change into another filter. So this here I'll just rinse and wash real good in Dawn dish soap and dilute it down. And this I'm gonna get a funnel and pour back into my bottle. Okay, then finally I got a funnel in my bottle, and I'm gonna use one more paint filter to just pull out any more solids. I don't think there are any more, but why not, right? So I'm just gonna carefully hold everything into place here. Okay, it took almost all of it. So I'm just going to cap that bottle off. And I'll rinse that, I'll rinse everything. And there was a little bit more solids. Not much, but you can see a little bit of solids in there. Okay, so I'm just going to rinse everything with soap and water, and we'll be all done. Okay, I appreciate you watching. This is just a method of stripping your paint without having to sand, because if you try to sand, you're going to be removing detail off your car, emblems and door gaps and things of that nature. So by stripping it all the way down to bare plastic, if you have a bad paint job, it's the best way to go, because it preserves all your pristine bare plastic. Also great for cleaning your tools, like your paint stand or whatnot. And again, like I said, there are other methods. There's people that use Purple Power, and there's people that use oven cleaner, and there's people that use bleach. But I happen to have 2 large containers like this in my garage, so it was worthless other than doing this. So it does an excellent job. I hope that helps you guys, and we'll see you next time.